Welcome to Superstitions and Traditions. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Trish.
And this is our podcast about all of history shenanigans and sharing all the fun stuff we know. Today is Superstitions, and we are going to talk about cornrows.
I love it. And
in honor of Black History Month.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's get going.
Right. A traditional African American or African hairstyle is cornrows.
Okay.
Little teeny tiny braids. Makes my fingers hurt just looking at them, but they're beautiful.
Oh, they are beautiful. They are beautiful.
Intricate.
Mm-hmm.
We know them as cornrows. Which is a term that developed during American slavery.
Okay.
Somewhere between the 16 and 1800s is when this term started, and it's because when it's done just the straight lines, it mimicked the cornrows, the way the plants grew. In the Caribbean, what did they call
cane rows?
Cane rows. Where they grew sugar cane, and they were called cane rows there. Which is, I guess, maybe a white name for the hairstyle.
Possibly,
So,
yes. I know that you can sit for hours upon hours to have your... I'm not doing very well either. Do we just need to start all the way up?
I will cut and make it sound good.
Okay, cut it off. But as you know, the patience involved in getting cornrows.
I know.
I mean, to sit there for
For
hours.
the person getting their hair done, and especially for the person doing it. Which, I mean, you and I both have lupus, and so we have arthritis.
Right.
We get the lupus claws. I can't imagine.
I couldn't do it.
My hands would be stuck that way.
I know it. And it's just such a work of art.
Yes.
I mean, it is. It's more than just... it's about culture, it's about history, it's about expressing.
It is. And it's a long history.
Yes.
When we go back to ancient Egypt and the art in tombs and on pottery and things that we found, you can see the cornrows on it.
Right. And they would oftentimes be adorned with gold and they told a story.
They did. So what historians and anthropologists believe is the different rows in the hairstyle was kind of a religious symbol to the deities at the time. Because, this is pre-Christianity.
Right.
And there was a lot happening with Egyptian religion to King Tut that everybody knows of.
Yes.
The Egyptian religion was a multi-deity religion.
Okay.
So they had a sun god, a moon god. They had several different gods like the Greeks and the Romans and the other religions at that time.
Right.
His father, when he was Pharaoh, cut that out and named one god and expected all of Egypt to follow suit.
Okay.
So King Tut was a child pharaoh, and he had grown up with the multi-deity system. His people wanted the multi-deity system. So whenever his dad died and he took power, he kind of reverted it back, we believe, based on things we have discovered during his time. And so the hair was not only for specific deities in Egypt, it was also kind of a symbol of resistance for that time period.
Oh, okay.
And
it could also show like your marital status, and your status in the community, and wealth and social rank and all of that stuff.
As we move through time and we evolve, it shows, you could tell where a person was from in Africa based on the types of braids and the intricacies and the things they adorned it with and things like that. marital status, wealth, social economic status, they were able to say all of this with hair.
See, that's just...
I know.
I know. I mean, it is an art.
It is. It's definitely an art.
So they kind of think it spread down the Nile Valley and then into Africa and then...
Yeah, just in general, an anthropological stance is art originated in Africa, right? Not like kind of right there, Egypt, a little further south than Egypt, but kind of central north.
And that little cradle of civilization
Africa.
there. Yes.
So during the transatlantic slave trade, they would, braid their hair because it's a cultural thing that they had done for centuries before in their African homelands. And the people that were being brought over they could hide things in their hair, or they could adorn it with flowers or seeds or things that made it look pretty and had some kind of significance. But also once they got here, they had seeds to plant.
Oh, so it was a way to kind of bring that with them.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about the African Society in Cornrows, I mean, this was like a whole, like when we would talk here about getting together for a family's dinner, when you would sit down with your family and community and your mom would, I mean, that was it was a community.
Yes.
And it was a bonding situation with the huts, and you had time to sit down and spend a lot of time together with your family and
community and talk and bond. And
so part of that then, when they brought the slave trade happened, then that they weren't always able, once they were here, to have the time to do those things, but that part of their culture still remained ingrained and then is very much a part.
Cornrows and the braids, the different patterns, were instrumental in the Underground Railroad. They were maps and
on safe routes to go and safe ways
a way of communication.
Right.
There is, I mean, like as a across the board whole,
right,
that it was done for that purpose. That in certain areas with certain people, it was done as a map, as a way of communicating.
And they also think that happened in Colombia,
as
well, where
and by the same reason, there are letters and written accounts from people. And as far as Colombia goes, it's a smaller,
right,
so there it's more widespread knowledge. Whereas in the South, that area is a lot bigger, and the U.S. is a lot bigger.
Right.
So as far as a universal way of communication, it wasn't here, but it was used.
Right.
Colombia's, it was a universal.
Right. They had built an escaped slave had built a village in North Colombia where they tried to set up and use a way to communicate and deliver messages. So.
Yes, with their Cornrows.
Yes.
I believe this is the area where it's called Cornrows.
Right.
So we don't move past slavery ends because people fought for that.
Yes, they did.
And the Cornrows kind of waned in popularity. During the Civil Rights Movement and the Black Power Movement, it's reinvigorated the style and had a whole new representation or meaning.
Right.
So at that point, it is a symbol of the oppression that they are experiencing, as well as the resilience and the determination that their ancestors have brought on a whole new life to it.
Right. So black hair is black history. I mean, it's
yeah. Well, and if you look at any culture, every culture, Native American, black, even white, European, hair is important. Yes. Across the board. Right. Hair is important. That is how you identify. It is a mark of your beauty. It is a way to express yourself. It's important to everyone. Even now, hair is important to us. As
I know, I like my hair.
I like mine too. So it has and has always held significance.
But it has been a battle to get all different populations and ethnicities. I mean, even after the time of slavery and there's emancipation that takes place, it's still oftentimes as the Black Power movement came and then we saw cornrows come back. There were still people that went, "Oh no, you can't wear those."
Right.
I mean, you don't
and
know.
The same with afros.
Same with afros
and I don't know much about afros. I think that to me it fascinates me that your hair can do that because I have white people hair and it just falls down.
I don't know what mine is. Mine's just strange hair.
In the same way with Native culture, also in their braids that.
Yes.
They didn't cornrow, but they did
braids.
They
did a braid, right.
And braids had different symbolic meaning within their culture, and it was different for every tribe. But, and even today, where we are today, hair is still, people still try to control it. Like there are still children suspended from school.
Yes, because
they have a code on their hair.
That says no, you can't. You can't have an afro, or you can't have cornrows in school.
Or you can't have long hair
if you're male, which is a Native American thing, right?
Very important to Native American culture, and so it's still used to control people. There was a lot of, or not a lot, there are several records of during slavery when, especially a lot of slaves were assaulted by their enslavers, their captors. And so then we had mixed race children. And they grew up to be mixed race adults. They were born to a slave, so they are slaves.
Right.
But there was a jealousy because their hair was mixed. So, it could go either way.
Right, yeah.
Right. And those that were born with more European straight texture were seen more favorably to especially white males.
Yes.
And so female slave owners, that was one of the ways they would punish female enslaved people was to cut their hair.
Or shave their head.
Or shave their head. It was also used in the French Resistance, and it was used in Germany. I mean, it's been used throughout history to control women primarily by cutting and shaving their hair because it is such an important thing in the culture. But for those specific people within enslavement, it was because you can't have our hair. It was, in their mind, the texture of the slave's hair, the people they enslaved's hair wasn't beautiful. Ours was. Theirs was. And so when there were slaves that had that texture, it was, you can't. And we're going to fix that.
We're going to we'll shave that head. We're going to cut your hair. We're going to take it away. So then we have, as you were saying, the Black Power movement. Okay. And we have the fact then that cornrows are beginning to be celebrated again. In 1999, Venus Williams, in the Australian Open, she has beads on her cornrows, and they stopped the Open and they declared cornrows with beads that it was disruptive for
tennis.
Yes.
Sometimes
I think tennis, everything is disruptive for tennis.
Right, what did they think those beads were going to do?
I guess they make a noise, unlike the when you hit the ball. But I mean, who knows? So, I mean, you still, as they're still having to try to fight. In 99, Venus Williams is just amazing. First of all, I can't believe 99 was when Venus Williams started playing because it's 2025 and that makes me really old. And she is just amazing. But, even as early as 2019, there was a Gabrielle Union who filed against America's Got Talent. She filed a discrimination complaint because she received racially insensitive comments about her hair, including it was too black. I mean, that was in 2019 from
Wow.
America's Got Talent. I mean, so
Wow.
I mean, it's just
Like, when they too, did they mean the color? They want her to dye it, or did they mean black as in a black style, and they
Black
wanted her
style.
to be more white style hair?
yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, there were certain ways that I guess people assumed that was more appropriate to wear your hair.
Okay.
Now, do you hear
I hear it.
the ice cream man?
Uh-huh.
Okay, it is what 30-something degrees out there. Yeah,
In February.
with snow on the ground.
Uh-huh.
Your little ice cream man.
Whatever. Everybody makes
Hey,
them happy.
I
Go,
commend
everybody.
you. Go to work.
Go to work. That's
I
right.
commend you. Go to work. So, 1980, Renee Rogers sued American Airlines. When the company demanded that she not wear cornrows to work. I mean, it's just, I'm just having a hard time dealing with the ice cream man.
I know it.
It just kind of makes me want to run out and see if I can buy something with a quarter. In 2000, there was a teacher that cut off a 7-year-old cornrow, cut them off, the little part that hangs down, because it was told that they should not wear them to class. I mean, that's in 2000. I mean,
Right.
we keep thinking, we're making all this progress, but then,
Uh-huh.
and I think when we, when we were talking about the stories about the cornrows being used to help find safe ways out and roads to take and to help to communicate, and then there comes out in their stories that say, no, that's not true. I mean, that's, but then then you have information
Right.
that says that it is, but then you also have to look at, a lot of history, I think, is just will be lost, and oftentimes
And
the
it-
history
right,
is written
and
by the one that prevails. which-
Exactly. History is subjective. It
Right.
is.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it is written by the one who wins and the one who's listened to the most.
right.
And I don't think, as far as whether or not it was used during like the Underground Railroad and things like that, I don't think it's disputed saying it never happened. It just wasn't as
To the extent.
to the extent and as
Right.
widespread
Yes,
as it was
right.
in smaller countries
Right.
like Colombia and Haiti. It was used a lot in Haiti as
Uh-huh.
well. So I think we know that it did, and we believe the written record of the formerly enslaved people that
Right.
recorded it.
Uh-huh.
It just wasn't, you can't see a head in Georgia and know how you're going to make it through Missouri, kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And-
And I think a part of it too is that we don't want to give the black culture a sense of, hey, you've the things that they did to get themselves out of the bravery of the black culture and how they fought to withstand slavery and how they
Right.
fought to come out of slavery,
Right.
and the things that their culture was able to do and to keep and maintain. I mean, I think, to me, it just speaks tremendously about.
Gabrielle Corney, who is a cosmetologist and celebrity hairstylist, said braids are African American culture personified.
Oh yes, it's like Samson
Mm-hmm.
in the
In
Bible.
the Bible.
In the Bible. I mean,
His hair was his strength.
I think that when we look at the significance, like you said earlier, of hair into the culture. And
Well,
how,
and if we look at the U.S. right now in the hair industry across all cultures, like there is a lot of money people invest in their hair.
there really is. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I go to the store sometimes and I look down the aisles and I think, I don't even know what all that does.
Right?
I'm pretty simple. I mean, this is pretty simple, but then again, it kind of speaks to my culture.
Right.
I mean, I've always,
Right.
kept
My hair is I love my hair. I've never dyed my hair. I have cut it, but I've always had it pretty much the same. Sometimes I curl it, sometimes I straighten it. I don't invest a whole lot of money into my hair, but I would be sad without it.
And back to cornrows.
Back to cornrows, yes.
I think, from teaching for years, I've had the honor, and it is truly an honor and a privilege to watch the time and the effort and the energy that goes into. I guess it's called a braid. Is it called a braid when you make the cornrows?
Or a plate.
Or a plate. But it's tremendous. I can, first of all, like we talked about earlier, I can't imagine sitting still that long.
Right.
And secondly, it is a work of art. It is.
So the history of it is it started in Africa.
Uh-huh.
It was used to represent religious devotion, honor their religious gods, their deities at the very start. Mm-hmm. It is documented throughout history, through the Stone Age, the Sahara, I believe, the Sahara Desert. They found several caves.
Like
3,000 year old
plus, yeah.
Cave markings that depicted cornrows.
Right.
So, and then it moved on as a way to ensure your survival by having the ability to hide seeds in the cornrows so that, while you're enslaved, if you can get out, you can plant this and continue life. And,
right.
Became a symbol of struggle for that ethnicity. It just has carried thousands and thousands of years.
Oh, yes. And again, still, when you think about, the family and the time that's involved and how that is passed on from, the moms, the grandmas to moms and moms down to daughters and sons. Grandmas too. It's, and the time that was involved, it's fascinating.
It is.
And it's beautiful.
And it's beautiful.
And it is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
I think that we should all be appreciative of different cultures and their hair. And
all right. Well, thank you for joining us.